All right, so let me turn this up. All right, so it's that time of the year where we start discussing the NFL as this season, looms over us. We're still maybe 2 months, maybe a month and some time away from preseason, and right now everybody's just getting prepared, man, getting ready for the season. So Colin Cowherd had this segment on his show, and I just wanted to check it out because it has something to do with Tom, and it's been a while since I actually did a New England Patriots video. So
Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me. Joy, I'm going to expound upon a theory that I have. You and I have both moved a lot.
Yes.
For our careers. And when you move, I always get the yellow sheet of paper, pros and cons. One of the things I always try to remember is nothing is status quo in our business. It's constantly fluid.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example, folks. When I left the other place for Fox Sports, a lot of people are like, crazy! Card's crazy, man! That's a new network.
ESPN is a mess. Right now, ESPN is probably the worst place to get your sporting news because of a lot of agendas, just terrible reporting, just not interesting. And FS1 has a lot of FS1 has a lot of the personalities that people like to watch, like Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, Marcellus Wiley, Jason Whitlock. Even some of the former coaches, former players, they have some of the best, most cohesive talent as far as sports reporting than any other sports outlet out there. And I didn't realize how intolerable Stephen A. Smith was until Skip Bayless left. Because Stephen A. Smith was very authoritative. He was very loud, boisterous, confident. And a lot of times, he really didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. There were a lot of times where, he just was wrong. But it was tolerable because he had somebody that can be as equally as narcissistic as he is, and Skip Bayless, and they kind of balanced each other out, and it kind of made Stephen A. Smith tolerable in a way. But yeah, not anymore, man. So as far as I'm concerned, ESPN is on their way out. It's almost like the WWE right now. The WWE right now is really in a mode of transition right now where they're not the most popular, and I mean popular amongst real fans of the business. They're not the most popular outlet, anymore. But yeah. So FS1 was not a bad move, especially when you know who's coming with you. And then when some of ESPN's best sports reporting talent left, they started jumping ship once they realized that FS1 was actually pretty good. But yeah, that's why he left, man. ESPN is a mess.
One of the things I strongly considered was the emergence of podcasts and the emergence of digital and the growing power of Facebook. I'll give you an example. So when I was at the old place, I got 1.2 million podcast listens a month.
And that's a good point. Real quick, just to cut that off, that's a good point. When you could podcast, when you could start a YouTube channel, when you could do all this stuff, I don't even see the point in being on a big network like ESPN or FS1. Like, there's really no reason to be there. If you can write your books and publish them, you don't need a publishing company to publish your shit for you. You don't need somebody to market your shit for you if you can market it yourself. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was able to market himself. He didn't need a manager. He was able to do all of that shit himself.
Podcasts were on fire, so I knew I wasn't going to disappear. I get 8.5 million a month. So my 1,000 minimum a day. It's 6 times bigger. Facebook. I knew this company would allow me to use Facebook and monetize it. The old place didn't. I got 331 million views last year on Facebook. Nothing close in the industry. So it wasn't about just coming over here and busting butt and working with people like Joy. The world was changing around me, and it was just not, you're going to be on AM radio signals. I knew as I came over the emergence of podcasting, the power of Facebook, the emergence of digital would ensure that if I just did a quality show that was at least as good as the other one, and I think this one's better, studio's better, guests are better, people around me are better, that it would grow. So my decision was not just based on me, it was based on the world was changing, and I wanted to, and I've always believed this in business. The world gives you waves. Ride them. Make it easy on yourself. When you see a wave coming, grab the surfboard, get on the wave. I live in California here by the beach. I like to go to the pier, get a cup of coffee, and watch surfers. I enjoy that. It's therapeutic for me. Even the best surfer can't do it without a wave. And the waves were rolling when I came over here to Fox. The podcast wave, the digital wave, the Facebook wave, the YouTube channel. They were all exploding. And I thought, well, I'll just do the same show. I'm not going to disappear. Nobody's going to disappear in this business. So the point being is, let me talk about an NFL player. So Adam Humphries was a nice slot receiver, and he chose the Tennessee Titans and Marcus Mariota over Tom Brady. And he came out and he said...
And I'm going to tell you exactly why. And for anybody that doesn't know this at this point, I mean, you would have to not be a fan of the NFL. Like, you would have to not be an avid viewer of the NFL to not know this. New England is not wide receiver friendly. New England is not running back friendly. New England is not tight end friendly. Yeah, you have Julian Edelman. Yeah, you have Gronkowski, or you had Gronkowski. I mean, yeah, you have players that serve a far more significant purpose in the offense than others. But let's look at Chad Ochocinco as an example. When Chad Ochocinco came to New England, when his career was essentially over, I mean, he was on his last legs, and I believed that New England could revitalize his career. And this is me being young and being optimistic. I thought that they could revitalize his career. When he didn't play all year, I think he caught like 5 passes all year. I mean, and it was over after that. And I started to realize that this system is not easy for anybody. Not even somebody as talented as Chad Ochocinco, who's at a position that's just so simple. Wide receiver has to be, besides kicker or punter, wide receiver has to be the easiest position on the football field. Because it's so simple. It's so simple. Yeah, you have to know a whole bunch of routes. You have to know what to do in this formation. You have to know the audibles. You have to know, you have to be very aware of what's happening. But it has to be the least complicated position on an NFL team. So when Chad Ochocinco didn't succeed, at least somewhat, I was like, all right, maybe this system is so complicated that it takes more than just a regular guy to come in and perform well. And as I got older, I mean, this was back when I was like maybe 16, 17. As I got older, I started realizing that, that's just the way it works. And not everybody, this is why I don't get excited about free agent pickups or trades, because the chances of that player actually working out for the team, like Tim Tebow, I'm not saying Tim Tebow could have worked here. I'm just saying I believe Tim Tebow is far more talented than people give him credit for. And because he couldn't throw a beautiful pass like a Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers, they looked at this kid like he shouldn't have been quarterback, even though he was a winner. That's all that matters. He was a winner. And that's when I started really, after Tim Tebow was treated the way he was in the NFL, that's when I started realizing that the NFL was a business, and it was more about pleasing the eye than actually winning games. Because if you go back and you look at the Broncos that year that Tim Tebow wound up starting and getting them to the playoffs, they were out of it. I believe they were 1-5. They were 1-5, and he managed to win 8 games, and I think they went 9-7. I don't know. I don't believe they won a division. They could have. I don't believe they did though. They did win the division. Damn it, I don't even remember. But anyway, they went to the playoffs. They played Pittsburgh, and he won his first playoff game, his first and only playoff game, his first and only playoff win. Sorry, but the way Tim Tebow was treated was almost criminal. I mean, just because he couldn't throw the way people wanted him to throw, just because he couldn't play the way people wanted him to play, it didn't matter if he won. It didn't matter this. It didn't matter that. All that matters is, that he needs to look good doing it. I guess for the fans or some shit. I really don't care. I mean, me being a watcher of the NFL, look, as long as the team is winning, I don't care about any technical shit that they're having issues with. As long as they're playing well and they're winning. But back to Adam Humphries, man. The reason why Adam Humphries didn't want to come to New England is because he went to Tennessee. Well, honestly, Tennessee has a lot more wide receivers than New England does. But I think it's a lot easier for him to get playtime there and for him to get utilized, and the money is better. I mean, that's what's important to a lot of these players, and if they can win while they're there, then great. But if they don't, as long as they're getting their playing time, they're getting their numbers up, and as long as they're getting their money, I think that's all they're concerned with. And it's not a bad thing. I'm not shooting it down like it's terrible or anything like that. I'm just saying that's what's at the top of their list. That's why you don't see big time free agents signing here. This is why you see players leave. Like look at Deion Lewis last year. After Tennessee beat New England, he was like, well, this is what happens when you go cheap. But New England never prided themselves on getting the best free agents, the biggest free agents. They always surrounded their team full of players that was willing to give in, willing to conform to the way the team system is, and playing well in that system. New England has a habit of... I just watched a video earlier around the Super Bowl win where Mark Schlereth was talking about... He was talking to one of the scouts that used to scout for New England. And New England's biggest thing is not looking at what players can't do, looking at what they can do and trying to do the best they can to work around that. Sorry I'm stuttering right now. I'm just talking really fast. But, yeah, so that's why Adam Humphries didn't want to come, man. It was a money thing, and he wanted playing time. If Adam Humphries would have came to New England, the chances of him actually getting significant playing time is so low. Unless he was willing to sit for like a year, maybe 2 years. I mean, and Edelman is still pretty early in his... not early. He's still pretty... his career is only, 7, 8 years old? He's not really... he hasn't been in the league for like 10 years, 11 years. If he has, it's lost on me, but I believe he's been in the league for like 8 years. But, yeah, man, that's all it was. It was playing time and it was money. That was it. But I don't know how much playing time he's going to get in Tennessee, so it had to be more about money than anything. Because, in Tennessee, you have Corey Davis. They just drafted A.J. Brown. There are players there, unless he's trying to take on a slot role. Julian Edelman is our slot receiver, so I don't know. I think it was more about that than wanting to win.
The reason I did it is I just didn't know how long Tom Brady would play. Well, first of all, Tom Brady's future is better.
Yeah, and that doesn't make any sense. Tom has said that unless he can't play anymore, he's going to play until he's 45. But as much as I admire Tom Brady, and I look at Tom Brady to be the greatest NFL player to ever play the game, I really do. And there is such substantial evidence to prove that he is. He may not be able to run a fucking 40 time in 4 seconds flat, but, this dude is the ultimate winner. And that matters more to me. But nowadays, it's not about winning, honestly. But, the system is more important than the player. And that's why people don't really gravitate to New England. Players aren't going to stand out. Players aren't, and this is why players don't want to play there, you're not going to stand out if you come here. If you do, it's not going to be all the time. Like, there was this guy years ago. His name was Jonas Gray. This dude rushed for 200 yards in an NFL game for the New England Patriots and 4 touchdowns. This dude was out of the NFL, I believe, 2 years later, he was out of the NFL. 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Never had a really significant role after that. And when he went somewhere else, I mean, he pretty much was out of the NFL not too long after that. So if you go to New England, it's going to be more about the system than you. It's just that Tom Brady, and maybe that's the thing, man. Maybe Tom Brady is so goddamn good, he's able to survive the system. People don't realize that. People don't look at that. They look at the system as being Tom Brady. No, the system is the system. Tom Brady is just good enough to be able to fit in the system and make the system work. Like, he's not the system. He's not bigger than the system. If Tom Brady couldn't win anymore, Bill Belichick doesn't have to get rid of him. I'm pretty sure Tom Brady would retire, man. Like, he would leave. That's what he said. If I feel like I can't play anymore, if I feel like I suck, I'm gone. So I don't really think that has much relevance to him. I don't see why he would say that. That really doesn't matter.
Better than Marcus Mariota's. Because I don't think Marcus Mariota is going to get another contract in Tennessee. He's not very good. He's thrown for over 20 touchdowns once in a passing league. He's always hurt.
I believe the problems in Tennessee are just like the problems were in Oakland, like the problems were in Cleveland. You have to be able to stick out the bad times. Like, if you find a coach and you're committed to that coach, and that's how you can tell a lot of these teams aren't committed to really anybody, because that's when they're just willing to fucking cut bait so soon. That's why I think that whole moniker, not for long, for the NFL is stupid. That's how you end up losing every year. That's how you end up drafting in the fucking lottery. I mean, not the lottery. In the first, and within the first 10 picks every single year is because, you never stick anything out. There's no commitment there. And Tennessee has this issue. I'm not saying Marcus Mariota is better than what he's been playing or the way he's been playing, but maybe if you actually get a system that fits him and you stick with it even through the bad times instead of trying to fire your fucking coach, so that way you don't have to deal with a whole bunch of questions and people questioning the decisions that's going on in Tennessee, just stick it the fuck out. Maybe that'll be a whole lot better, man.
Missed 9 games in 4 years, at least double that, been banged up. He's a non-verbal guy at a verbal position. I don't think Marcus Mariota is very good. So Adam Humphries, nice kid, good player.
I think Marcus Mariota is better than what people believe he is. To be honest, if Marcus Mariota was taller and he weighed more, but he kept that same level of speed, it'll be Cam Newton. Real shit. Like, I don't really see a difference between him and Cam Newton. And people look at Cam Newton like he's great. Like he's one of the great young quarterbacks. But Cam Newton is one of the most inconsistent quarterbacks in the NFL. He'll have an MVP season and then go on to the next year missing the playoffs and looking like a complete fucking amateur. He's very inconsistent, man. I really compare him to Marcus Mariota. I put them on the same fucking level, honestly, talent-wise.
Chose mediocrity, Tennessee, over excellence. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, the ownership, the culture, the Super Bowls, the momentum. He just chose it. But what he really didn't think about, much like my career, was the world's changing. 41-year-old quarterbacks are now 36-year-old quarterbacks. Russell Wilson said yesterday, I want to play till 45. Drew Brees is 41. Drew Brees, if you notice the last couple years, he's playing at the end of the year. So's old Phillip Rivers. So's old.
Yeah, Russell Wilson won't play till he's 45. And if he does, I'll be fucking surprised. The way Tom Brady plays the quarterback position and the way Russell Wilson plays the quarterback position are two different ways. And Tom Brady is taking extreme care of his body. People make fun of the TB12 method, but obviously it works if this dude is able to play into his fucking 40s. the same way. He's playing into his 40s like he was when he first started playing. Because if you remember, when Tom Brady first started playing in the NFL in the early 2000s, he wasn't really that special. I mean, he got the job done like he does now, but he wasn't like passing all over the field, 500-yard games here, 400-yard games there, 4 or 5 touchdowns. He wasn't doing all that. He was a game manager at best. That's why people really didn't look too hard at Tom Brady. And when they started looking at Tom Brady as one of the best is after his 3rd Super Bowl win. And then when they started throwing his name in as the best quarterback in the NFL was during the 2007 season when he was just lighting up the NFL. But early on in his career, people wasn't looking at Tom like he was one of the greatest or one of the best in the league. He was a game manager who just played extremely well, and he did what he was supposed to do, not make many mistakes or try to limit his mistakes. That's how Tom is playing now.
Tom Brady. Have you noticed who's around at the end of the year? Old quarterbacks. The world's changing. With all the nutrition, have you ever noticed when you meet somebody's kids, the kids are bigger than the dad? Why? Because they ate better. My son has lived with better nutrition than I have. And I had parents that, we had a nice life. We ate seafood. It was fine, right? But my son's eaten far more quality food. He's got the nutrition that I didn't have an understanding of. And so basically Adam Humphries, good player, nice player, chose Marcus Mariota and the Titans over Tom Brady because his quote was, obviously he's the GOAT, but there's so many things to factor in. How many years does he have left? I don't know. You watched Brady win the Super Bowl last year. Was he better than Jared Goff in the Super Bowl? I mean, he's been in 3 straight Super Bowls.
And that's what I'm saying. Tom Brady is not better than the system. And that's basically what Adam Humphries is alluding to, is that Tom Brady is the system, or he's greater than the system. And without Tom Brady, the entire system will fall apart. And that's not the case. I'm trying to think of it. I make the case that Tom Brady makes the system work at peak efficiency, but Tom Brady is not the system. He's not better than the system because the train will keep moving with or without him. It will keep moving. And I believe Jimmy Garoppolo really was Bill Belichick's successor to Tom Brady. But Tom is still winning, though. And whether Jarrett Stidham or the other guy, no, not Hoyer. Now, unless Stidham is the guy that's going to take over once Brady retires, it remains to be seen. But nobody is better than the system. Nobody is better than. This is why Matt Castle could win 11 games. Didn't make the playoffs, and I think that's the difference between Tom and any other quarterback. Is that Tom wins 11 games, he goes on to the Super Bowl. Any other quarterback wins 11 games, and they may or may not miss the playoffs. So when I say Tom gets the system going at its peak performance, that's different than he is better than the system. That's not the case, and that's what Adam Humphries is alluding to, and it's not the correct assumption, man.
Isn't he the best quarterback every time you watch the Super Bowl?
Just say you wanted a 4-year deal worth a shitload of money that you wasn't going to get from New England, and the only way you'll go to New England and play a reduced role than you did in Tampa Bay is if you're getting paid for it. Because if you ask any of these players, if you could get $4 million, if you could get a 4-year, like $60 million deal, and I'm not saying that's what he got, but just a hypothetical, if you could get 4 years, $60 million deal, and be a star wide receiver on one team, but you don't go to the playoffs that many times, and you don't win any Super Bowls, but you'll go to New England for that same amount of money, and you'll have a dramatically reduced role, and you'll win maybe 1 or 2 Super Bowls. Which would you rather do? And I'm pretty sure any player, as long as the money is there, any player would say, look, I'll go there for 4 years, win a couple of Super Bowls. Like, come on, man. It was about the money, and New England wasn't going to pay him what he wanted. This is why they got Demaryius Thomas for cheap, because Demaryius Thomas just came off of one of the most debilitating injuries of his career, and they also got Michael Bennett because Michael Bennett's career is almost over. I mean, he may have played well in Philadelphia. I'm not saying he played how he played in Seattle, but he played well in Philadelphia. But his career is almost over, man.
And you're going to choose Marcus Mariota, who's always hurt, who in the last 2 years has 24 touchdowns, 23 picks. I mean, come on. It's funny. There are so few guarantees in professional football. Like in the NBA, we knew the Warriors would be good. I mean, you knew Philadelphia, Boston. You can tell the playoff teams, Toronto, Milwaukee was getting better. You can tell. You knew Houston was going to be a playoff team.
And that's a red herring, man, because you talk about the top, six to eight teams in the NFL. The Rockets, the Warriors, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Bucks, the fucking Sixers. I mean, there's a couple other ones. Denver and those were bona fide playoff teams. But then you got to also look at the teams that we didn't expect or see making the playoffs until late in the season, and that's Brooklyn, Orlando, Detroit. Detroit barely got in there, and there was a couple teams. Oh, the Clippers. Nobody saw the fucking Clippers making the playoffs this year. Come on, man. The NBA is just as unpredictable as the NFL. It's just you can spot the great talent from the lesser talent. But Golden State took everybody by surprise when they were as good as they were when they won their first title. I mean, they took everybody by surprise. Nobody expected them to be as good as they were. You always have surprises, man. Like the baseball and hockey. Like the Blues just won the Stanley Cup last night. I'm pretty sure the Blues weren't a favorite to win the title at the beginning of the year. And every year in the major leagues, you see a different team that just outplays, the talent on their team. The Cubs won this World Series 2 years ago. No, I mean, it is what it is, man. But Adam Humphries made the best deal for him. And this is the case that needs to be focused on. He felt like Tennessee was a better spot. He went to Tennessee. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know. I just think this is the last 5 minutes of the video is just him talking about what a huge mistake Adam Humphries made. Adam Humphries made the best decision for him, and we'll just keep it at that. But I'm done. All right.